trying to do a small exercise, this scenario. Pretty much the scenario is just to identify, and then you will go through the report that you run, just identify, for a certain period, the KPI rate of a couple of missions. So let me go here in BI. So of course, for those who are not familiar with BI, how to log in, you still have, a couple of videos, that you made in previous workshop that you have. You can share with you as well, so you can have a quick overview. But most of you, I assume, are, very familiar with BI and they know how to access the report. So once you log into the BI, you'll have to go to your document, and then on the document you have a couple of folders. Brian went through this yesterday as well. Yes, a basic user can run the report, especially for this type of report, because they are pre-formatted report, and then you call it WebE, as you said. So the report you are looking at currently is the report 19. So under the DFS property management, you click so it will take a few minutes, and then you have the prompt. So remember, you can do many things, right? You can look for all the business area. You can look of all the total of accumulated depreciation for particular asset. But for the sake of this exercise, because of the time, and you'll have another report as well, you will select a couple of missions, pretty much. Remember in the scenario that I was sharing a minute before, you will select those 5 missions for the reporting period of 2018, and then you will identify the KPI that is above the predetermined or the threshold. So let's go here. So the fiscal period, as you know, you can just refresh the value to have them. You can also search here. So if you remember from the previous slide, you said you will go from the 2018 financial period, which start in this case to January 1st, and then goes up to the 12th.
And yeah, thank you, Cyrille. I'll just take a moment to jump in and say Cyrille is going through the prompt faster than we did yesterday, because of course every day we're going to be progressing in difficulty. We did explain already yesterday how the refresh worked, how we could select the dates, and how the prompt worked in general. So if you would like to learn more about the prompt, you feel that this is a bit too quick for you because this is your first session, you should watch the video recording that we sent earlier today. As there, we spent a lot more time in the prompt, but we can't keep spending all the time of the WebEx session explaining the prompt and the refresher, so we're just going to move on faster, as today we want to explain other things.
Exactly, Brian. Exactly. That's really the goal. So, and then as I said, the report works exactly the same way. Either WebEx, WebE, or AWS, which is the analytic workspace. So, as I said, let's go back to the exercise. So for the exercise, you'll have the reporting period, which is mandatory. And then you remember you decided to select 4 business area. So, and then here you can search for them. Brian went through this yesterday, I believe. So I think you had MONUSCO, if I remember well. You have and then once you have MONUSCO, you have to add it, in your right, panels. You have also on source, if I recall, to search. As I said, you can also refresh completely the value and then look for, many emission. You have UNMISS. You can select also if you click, controls, and then you can have many, values at the same time. Then you put it there. We have our 5 missions, pretty much. And then remember, you also thought about the posted one, I think. posted depreciation only. So you have to select the years. And then I think that's it. So let's run the report and see what you have.
And yes, I'm looking at the chat as well, and I believe we have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Yes, if you
Oh,
could.
it comes distorted.
Well, maybe just for one person, so I guess for the rest we should be fine. If not, we would hear it from everyone. But I want to know here, could you please let us know if the previous sessions are recorded? Yes, they are all recorded. Actually, this session will be recorded and every other one will be recorded. If you're on the list of attendees for this WebEx session, you are receiving the documents and the recordings. If you're not on the list of attendees, you're not receiving it and shouldn't even be in the WebEx session. But if by any chance you're in the WebEx session, fine, you can stay, but the documents are being sent to those that have been officially invited. Then also we have this, why is it limited to 12 December? I believe we have a question here. 12 December, I guess the budget period was?
Yes, exactly. So below 12, or Cass maybe can share the light on this.
Okay, so well, first of all, we know that we have two reporting cycles. We have the calendar year for SPNs, and that would be January through December. And then we have the peacekeeping financial year, which is July through June, right? So you would enter those, those dates in the prompt. Also, keep in mind that for those of you who are used to receiving the instructions for the directive and actually performing the reports, in the past we would produce an annex that would tell you what prompts to enter. In all likelihood, when we're ready to use these reports in that official capacity, the facts will include those type of instructions. We will be explicit. We will say, in this report, enter this period and that period, leave those blanks, etc. And I'm going to put in the chat bar while we have a moment 2 T codes so that maybe Cyrille, if you can maybe share with, I don't know if you could just present it. I'm going to put it in. And basically, these are the 2 ECC reports that you can actually look at to see what your capitalized values and net book values are through ECC compared to the report. So that's just some supplemental information.
Thank you, Cass. And I just share with all the participants, the T code you were just referring to. So.
Oh, sorry, I gave you one correct T code and one wrong T code. An analysis area.
Okay, that's
so it's the T codes beginning with S.
That's fine. Okay, so everyone has it now. It's correct?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And sorry for the microphone. I think I believe Atefe said that I was coming distorted a little bit. So we're trying to adjust our microphone. I don't know. I hope everyone is listening well. Yeah, just raise their hand if the majority is getting me correctly.
I hear you perfectly well as well. And it's also just in case we can speak slower. If it breaks up there, just to go slower, and that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you.
The majority hear you well.
Thank you, Eli. So let's continue with the report. So once you run the report and then you have it, you can display it in a certain way, right? You can have the quick display mode here, and then you can also have the page mode. So let's have the quick display mode so it can be a little bit bigger. And from the scenario, because I just want to keep linking back to the scenario, so you'll have meaningful information from this report because it's a simple one, as I said. So now you have 5 missions. Of course, I don't want to go through a filter bars and to show you how you can filter per mission. Brian did it yesterday, and then you will continue, to show you a couple of things, how to export and so forth. So to go back to our scenario, you have the 5 missions, and then you have different value, right? You'll see here the current, occurring purchasing cost. You have the accumulated depreciation, and then the current book value. Remember, this ratio, as I said, early, is the accumulated depreciation, over the current APC. This is how we calculated. So if you remember, about the KPI was set to 60%, with a tolerance rate of 10%. So if you look at here, MONUSCO, yeah, has, a KPI of 73%. So it can tell you right away that, the equipment, in MONUSCO, the property and equipment in MONUSCO are really old. The depreciation, value is, also high. And then when they work for the budget formulation, strategic priority, they have to, think about, establishing a new capital, maybe establishing also replacement cost for the asset. So pretty much this is what I can say, as a value, real value for this report. And I don't know, Cass also maybe can, add here another value maybe I may not see. Cass?
Well, the only thing is the periods that we selected, January through December, are not really applicable. So I don't know what the report retrieves when you select posted and you're doing it in the future.
Yes. Okay.
It probably is frozen as of June, assuming they've already run the June depreciation, which they may not have. So this, we'd have to play with this to see if this is really correct. Like, I don't know if you could, if you were to run this report and say posted and show those periods, that may not be a correct representation. That's not the current book value as of December 2018. We might have to say planned. That's something that we would play with and, of course, compare against what ECC does, because ECC can give you a list per asset. But as I mentioned, in our instructions, we'll say exactly. But the safest way to run this report right now would be to say July through June. Or let's see what happens when we put let's put planned and see how the report changes.
I will add planned as well. So both posted and planned. You're breaking a bit, Cass.
So the number should have gone up. So the values should have gone up.
For
right?
the same period, yes. Maybe I should change. Yes. Let me check. Yes. I think a little bit from couple of percentage. Because if I go back here and then, yeah, let's remove this and then. Yeah, so exactly. So now for the posted only, you have this percentage. And as you said, if you refresh our prompt and then you select, as you suggest, the planned value as well. Yeah, the value goes up. So if you go back to MONUSCO again, you'll have 76% now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So in a way, it's interesting because you could use this to project. You could say in 6 months' time, this is what it'll look like. And since there's a possibility to use more query prompt conditions, you could target a specific material, let's say, specific type of fixed asset.
Okay, thank you, Cass. So I can see from the chat, Kazim, you're asking about APC. It's the acquisition purchasing cost, pretty much, so the value of the asset. And then Garim was saying my voice is not clear enough. So I'm bound to the microphone, so I will try. I don't know if you will need me to speak louder, I think, or is the microphone was distorted? So, good. Okay, so thank you. So pretty much this is the report. So now what you can do with the report, you have many things, right? You have here all the data attributes, the criteria and variable that you use to run these reports. You can export the report, pretty much to export the report, you'll see this icon. Brian will go, in details at the end of the session, maybe for the next report as well, through it. So you can either export it in PDF or, Excel. For this case, let's try to export into Excel. Then you click OK. So if you open, so pretty much you have in Excel reports, and then you can play around with it, create pivot tables, and do a couple of things. So this was just a way to do it. And you can also, print to PDF. So pretty much, the way you export it, you can export it here to Excel or PDF, or if you want to do it in PDF, pretty much, you can print it here, print to PDF. So now the reports are not linked to a particular device or printer. So when you print it from here, it created the report into PDF, pretty much. So this is another thing. And then you can also, send it through email, by using a user or mail. So for the sake of this, I will say myself. Unfortunately, we will not see exactly, just want to show you how it goes. So it went, so you will not see if I receive a report or not, but, I can guarantee you that the report goes, so it was received.
Yes, actually, I was going to add something there, and I see also, Daniel, thank you for mentioning that in the chat as well. Something that you have to remember when you're exporting to Excel, if you can check the chat, I believe Daniel has sent it to all panelists, that formulas and hierarchies are not exported. Okay, so what you see is what you get, pretty much. That's why when Cyrille was exporting this to Excel, all you got was this type of information. You cannot filter any further. If you want more information on it, you have to add it in the initial prompt. If not, whatever you see here in this report is what you're going to get when you export it as well. And I believe Ikram has a question and then maybe wants to be unmuted. He also raised his hand in the participants list.
Yeah, let me unmute Ikram.
There he is. There, right there.
Yeah.
Yes, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Ikram, thank you.
Yes, this report is very, very critical. I have one small question.
Yes, go ahead.
There is especially for this report, we are always above 70%. So I really need to know how can we keep the result within 60%? In what effort do we really need to do to keep the result for this KPI within 60%?
Yeah, so I think what I will say, I think it's a matter of, the current net book value, and then the way you do the depreciation, right? The methodology that you use to do the depreciation financially. So I think maybe Cass can give you more details about it, because the more you lose the value of an equipment over a certain period of time, the higher your ratio goes up. Right, maybe Cass can give you more tips, to make sure that you are meeting the KPI.
One of the benefits, let's say, of IPSIS was supposed to be that with the depreciation, you could use it as a tool to analyze your aging assets and to plan for their replacement. Now, this may or may not be in line with reality, but that's the concept behind having this type of depreciation and have it be common. So the only thing a mission can do to bring that down is to replace the old items. That's the only thing you can do. Your population of assets needs to get younger, and we know that the reality is that's subject to your budget and your replenishment plan. So in a way, there may not be much you can do, but it is a good indicator to management to say, well, our inventory is aging. We might be spending more on spare parts. Instead, maybe there is a correct balance of age where we sell and buy new. It's that kind of discussion this is supposed to start.
But Cass, can you hear me?
Yes.
But in reality, it is not possible. Sometimes definitely mission has an issue with the replacement budget. So if we really have an issue, so how can we replace our old age assets?
You cannot, but that's just too bad. If the organization wants to adopt IPSIS and tells you that you're supposed to have a certain ratio of accumulated depreciation, well, hey, General Assembly, let me replace my assets, or keep buying spare parts. You're right. You can't do it, but too bad. If they want IPSIS, you're going to get a certain evaluation based on IPSIS.
Okay, so it means this replacement budget needs to be reflected in the acquisition plan during the beginning of the year, correct?
Well, like I said, that would be the idea. Perhaps now we're getting into a business discussion maybe too deeply and this is really more intended on the business object report. But the idea that this is a diagnostic, it is simply a diagnostic. So you could take this report and when preparing a budget and say, if you look at our accumulated depreciation to historical cost, we're at 60%. We have old stuff. You don't even need IPSIS to do that. You could do that based on useful lives alone, but this is a tool. It's simply a diagnostic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cass. Hopefully, Ikram, I think Cass has definitely defined it. It's definitely a way to measure. That's why it's the KPI. And I see also in the chat people asking, why then is it a KPI? Well, then if we want to adopt IPSIS, as Cass was mentioning, there has to be some sort of measurement, right, and value. So this is what it is. But as Cass was also saying, let's not get into the business discussion and move on as to what we can do and what are the reporting capabilities of these reports. So, Cyrille?
Super. Thank you, Cass, for your inputs, and Brian as well. As you said, the main goal for this is to show you how to extract and run those information. But you will still take your business question and then forward it to Cass as well. So that's it for the report 19. So let's go to the second one.
May I interject just for a second also?
Yes.
Because this is one of the reports that we don't have an analysis area, right?
Yes, correct.
And without an analysis area, you can't drill down to the particular asset in question. But if you look at the report, you will always see all our reports always indicate the data source. And although it's out of scope for this training, you can create your own analysis area, assuming you know how, right? By creating a new analysis area, by searching for the data source and drilling through and finding that particular data source. And then you're going to see the back end of this report, right? And you can then experiment and play and pull in equipment numbers and through that and so on, identify, break this down into detail. That's all.
Okay. So if you don't have any further questions, let's go to the next report, which is the report 27, and it's the write-off and disposal methods. So the same approach, what is the objective of the report? What is it intended to, the business need and the measurement? For this report, I can clearly say already that you don't have a KPI set. It's a pretty short report, but very useful as well. And then the report, as I said, is helping the user to understand, to produce reports on the write-off and disposal process for financial reporting purpose once again. So the measurements methodology are based on the scale that are published by DFS. And of course, the report talks only about the fixed asset, equipment and fixed assets, and then a particular type of notification, which is PW, write-off notification, and then a particular status as well. As I understand, the write-off, has many status, right? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, has something like 10 status, but this report focuses only on the approve and the review approve one.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, as I said earlier, the report will give you details and tools, to see the type of write-off and the PW write-off. So this type of write-off, I think I would say. And then the same thing, to be able to view the report, you'll have to have this enterprise roles, and then the result is shown by notification status and number, as opposed to the report 19, for example, where the result were shown by business area. Once again, those information, you can find them in ECC. And let's go back again to the BI reports, right? So same thing, prompt, but here you only have two type of prompts, and then they are required. Right? The notification status, as I said, there are only two for this one, and then you'll have the description. The approve means that the recognition date is the date that the write-off notification status has changed, and then the review approve status is the declaration date of the write-off when the notification status has changed to review approved. The second prompt, and then the last one for this report, is the notification number. I think I will say it will be a little bit, cumbersome to have in your mind, some notification number. But the good thing here, you can search for a range of notification number if you are looking at a particular one, or if you can just type one. So that's it. The report 27, is just showing result based on notification number and status number, but it has many data attributes. So you will go now in the BI, to try to apply this scenario. Same, approach again, the scenario. And then for this exercise or this scenario, I just want to get, the report on couple of, notification number. And then you will see from the result those equipment who still have a residual value of less than 5% of the purchase value. I think I come up a little bit with a number like this for the sake of the exercise to make the report more meaningful. So let's go in BI. So from here, when you're in BI, you don't have to log in and log out again. You can just go back again to the document and still have the report 19 open, and you go to report 27. Still Webby reports, you open it, and then as usual, you will have the prompt. I have a question for Afekwe, the difference between the approve and the review and approve. I believe the approve is when the request is approved, and then the review if approved is another status, maybe the third one, when the approved request is reviewed. Maybe Cas can clarify this status. Cas?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Approved is the initial approval. Review approved is the final approval.
Okay. Thank you, Cass.
And I can.
So for this,
Yeah.
okay.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, Cass. Well, Cyrille continues with the report. There was another question in the chat, a very easy one. Any plans to have the report 19 in analytical version? So an analysis workspace version.
Yes, all of them. You recall that slide I sent you with the plan? I mean, I don't know when would be a good time, maybe on the last session or something, to go through an overview. But yes, every single business objects report will have an analytical workspace. What had happened was some reports were built as part of the Galileo decommissioning project, the first set. And because of various constraints, the analysis areas weren't made. So now we have to go back and make them.
Okay. All right, yes. Thank you, Cass. And definitely we'll leave some time on the last day so we can go over that slide. Thanks again.
Again, so thank you, Cass, for that. So if you go back again to the scenario, I think you will have, a couple of notification number. I did it for the sake of the scenario. So for the review and approve, I choose to select only the review and approve. And then, we refresh the value to have the notification. I think I believe goes to 12, 15, this one, and another one. I think 64, if I recall well. But anyway, you can take any. So. And then you run the reports. So it's taking, a few seconds, I believe. So while the report is running, as I said, you can still, just want to share with you, okay, now you have the reports. So what I wanted to say, and then I say you have many ways to refresh, a report pretty much. You can refresh it from this icon. You can also, for people who are using more the keyboard, Control R, or you can even refresh it from the bottom of this page here with this icon. It's exactly the same thing. So now here you have a report, right, with many data attributes. Pretty much the more important ones I think you can see are the type of equipment, as you said, the purchase value, the operational depreciation. From here, of course, the recognition date and the recognition date. So for the operational depreciation, Cass, correct me if I'm wrong, what I understood from this report is the residual value of the equipment, not the financial depreciation, because you can see, for example, for this equipment, you will have an operational value of let's say $1,000, while here you will have a depreciation straight line, which is more financial part of 200. So pretty much this report, as we said in the beginning, could also help you to plan the disposal, the write-off, and the disposal process of all of your equipment. And as Cass said, this session is not really intended to go through the business area. It's more how the report wants. So again, unless Cass, you want to say something on this report before I move with some future view?
Okay, look, this as Ziad knows very well, because I had exchanges with him early on. He was one of the first to try and use this report. This was one of the first reports where we were specifying information, user requirements. And the way it got built in a way wasn't ideal. I was used to the Galileo business objects way, where if you build a report, you basically build a capability. And so you should be able to use that capability in other ways. What my learning curve was, they build exactly what you say, no more, no less, and boom, right? So this report is a little limited, but what this report will turn into is an ability to depreciate any equipment record based on the operational depreciation, based on its depreciation at any given time, even if it's in or out of the write-off process. It doesn't matter. This report right now is based on notifications. So what we want to do is sort of expand it and say equipment doesn't have to be a notification. Let's just depreciate it, right? And now even in looking at these results, I see a couple odd things, right? Look at the capitalized value. That's 0. How can that be for a motor vehicle? So when I see this, the first thing that I think of is this report may be looking at equipment records, pulling the fixed asset information then from the equipment records, and perhaps this asset has been de-recognized. Therefore, the data source that this report is pulling from does not find a capitalized value because it's gone. So the first thing I do, and the same thing happened in yesterday's session when I was looking at some of the results, is I go to our BI developers and say, confirm what's happening there. I don't see why a capitalized value should be 0. So that's one point. This is what I mean about using actual data in the system versus pre-production data that is two different sets. So if we can scroll to the left, I want to make a couple of points. And this is in general to write-off notifications. Let's say you have that notification, that first one, that number 12. Okay, so we know that for fixed asset notifications, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 notification per fixed asset. And for equipment, it can be 1 notification to many equipment records. And you use the notification by attaching an Excel file with whatever number of equipment records, and you update the equipment records with the notification number in the inventory number field. What we find is that users are entering free text like WO representing write-off and then the notification number. This report will not find for you the equipment associated with that notification number if it's not exact. And we are trying to, or this has actually forced us to make special development where we've told our BI developers what's happening, and they had to modify the queries to do like a smart search. So in their query, they say anything beginning with 100 and now 101, extract that number, and so try to find the notification that has free text using this particular logic. But it's hard. Even through ECC, if you had to do this through ECC, and you had to match notifications to equipment through an index match or a VLOOKUP, you'll get false results if you have free text in there. So the point I'm trying to make is the notification number should just be the notification number in the equipment record. So code group, now I don't know what mission this may be, but you have to classify the case. So if the case isn't classified, like you know, like the equivalent of AWASB, although I think we've changed those codes. It's not AWASB anymore. We've put in a new nomenclature. But if there is no, if it's not selected in the notification, then that is blank. That won't show up either. So that's just some points I wanna raise.
Excellent, excellent, Cass. I think I see another question from Marie. I think, a new Marie is asking if it's possible to add a prompt for the plants. I think yes, technically I think it's possible, but as Cass said, you only have to see the rationale behind building these reports.
Yeah, like I said, this report was built in too rigid of a manner, and if we had to redo it, we would give you similar prompts. In fact, we want to redo this so that it's not even notification based. The idea is that like this report could serve as a little bit of a historical document. So through this notification, this is the fixed assets or this is the equipment that I had with it. But we want to use it more to plan so that let's say someone puts 100 equipment records into a notification and you quickly see the purchase value and you see that it's all over the place, or the operational depreciation is all over the place, you know that notification now, some may go to the DMS, some may have to go to the LPSB, so that's not a good sort of structure for that particular notification. So you would take the data that the report shows you, and you could then make a recommendation or say, no, the first 10 go into one notification, the next 10 go into a second notification. That's eventually where we want to be with this.
Okay. So thank you, Cass. I can see also from Anna very quickly talking about this type of status for the write-off. For this report, Anna, you only have two status. As I said in the beginning, the approve and the review and approve. Yes, you have other ones, the status like the disposal in process, or the review and rejected, or the impairment even completed. Those status are not covered by this report. So maybe it's something you will need, your daily work. Yes, Cass?
Yeah, I did put in a request to have an additional status put in, the one where it's when the notification is just created right before it's approved, because that's when you need to sort it out. But the thing is, all our reports require a little bit of changes. All our reports, as we analyze them, will have one issue or a second, and we have to prioritize changes. And this particular report is lower on the priority, mostly because we provided an Excel functionality, an Excel tool that we shared with missions and our COP that allows you to calculate operational depreciation just in Excel, right? So we figured, okay, for this report, we have a workaround. Let's focus on the others. But even this one will change.
Okay. So thank you, Cass. So if you don't have any more questions, about the content of the report, you can go and then explore more, some features, pretty much on BI, how you can manipulate the report. So I think for that exercise, I think I will hand over to Brian, who will go and then walk you through how to do scheduling and so forth. So I thank you very much, everyone, for following up. I hope I was, not going so fast or too slow. And then also that my voice, improve a little bit, the microphone admin. So thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you, Cyrille, and definitely thank you, Cass, for all the valid information that you're sharing with us. We're definitely getting some good use out of you today with all these questions, and I'm sure that if we went on, we would just keep you for 24 hours. But let's go and see what we can do with these types of reports, right? That's basically what these sessions are based on. Now, I want to remind all you guys in the WebEx session that there are job aids that you guys can look at, right? I'm sharing it in the screen right now, and I would recommend you take a look at these because a lot of the questions that were asked can be just answered by reading the job aid quickly. And just as Cass has mentioned, this is still a work in progress, so a lot of the things will change. I know it's not easy to remember the notification numbers. I know one of the questions in the chat had to do with, do I have to remember the notification numbers, or eventually will there be a prompt that searches by mission and the notification numbers pop up by themselves, and maybe that would be more effective, right, or efficient for you. So eventually it's a work in progress. I know we can discuss business aspects all day long, but please take a look in iSeek, right? There's a list of, there's a link here that you can click on for job aids, and right here in the section called Supply Chain Performance Management, you take I recommend you take a good look at these job aids. But let's continue with the report, and actually I'm going to continue with this one, number 27, and I'm going to refresh the prompt because what I want to do with this report is show you guys what happens when we export a web intelligence report, right? Daniel was mentioning before, the golden phrase I believe you used there in the chat was that what you see is what you get with web intelligence reports in BI. So if you're exporting what you see on your screen, like what we see right now, if I move this prompt, we see a number of notifications. Well, that's what you're going to get in your Excel. You won't be able to filter further or get more information from there. And this is what I mean by it. So for example, if I'm going to add more of these notifications, right now I'm just simply going to take all these out. And again, what I just did now is as simple as selecting the first and then shift and the last, right? And I can get rid of all of them at once. If I refresh the values, I can do the same when selecting these values. Okay, somehow, there you go. I was going to say I must have some issue with the refresh button. Every time I click on it, it doesn't refresh, but no, it's there. So I can select the first one here and then scroll all the way down and select the last one, and then eventually have all these notification numbers, right, moved over here. But you see in this case, it doesn't work very efficiently. So now I'm going to have a number of them move over to the right side. And what I want to show you with this is that when we export this, and hopefully it'll take maybe a little bit of time to move, but when you export this to Excel, you'll see what I'm talking about. If we do any sort of filtering with the web intelligence report that we have in BI, then later on in the Excel report we can't play around with it as much. Now let me see if I can, okay, I always have a nice habit of making these reports crash. Okay, here it is. So now I have all these notification numbers, right? So I'm kind of putting this report to the test, and I'm only looking at review approved as well. So let's see, let's go with this and see how our report changes. Now, of course, I'm going to have a lot more notification numbers, so the report's going to take a little longer to come up. But you'll see eventually we'll have a long list of notifications. And you'll see what I mean with what you see is what you get in terms of exporting. And I'm also going to teach you or show you how you can schedule a report and receive this report in your inbox. And you can schedule it to receive it every week, every month, or just simply right now. And how you can also share it with someone else instantly. And I'll do it as a PDF or do it as an Excel. And that's really the aim of this session. So Cyrille did a very good job showing you how these reports work, and a very good discussion with Cass in terms of the business behind it and the progress with these reports. But now we're going to learn and see the functionalities of the web intelligence report. So once it's done loading here, now again, I put it to the test. I used a lot of notification numbers so that when I show you how to use the filtering option and the exporting option, it may work a little better. And also yesterday, we were using, if you see here, you follow with my mouse, the freeze button. Yesterday we used this freeze button only with the header, correct? So I'm clicking it now, and what I'm doing is I'm freezing the header. So I can scroll down, you see the report is very long, much longer than what we had before, because now we have tons of notifications. So I can freeze the header, and that makes a lot more sense now as I scroll down. But now I can also scroll to the right, and you can manage to keep these columns there. You want to keep your notification number visible. You can also play around with the freeze and say, okay, well, I want to freeze the left column 1 is the one I'm interested in freezing. And as you move on to the right, you see that the notifications stay with you. So you can always cross-reference by freezing either the header and also the column. You see I can scroll down and then move to the right, and the notifications stay with me. So of course you could always just export this to Excel and do that in Excel later on, but still the intention of this WebEx is to show you the capabilities. So again, I can unfreeze this column and also do it with the header just by unselecting it, and now again it's back to normal. So what I want to show you is, if by any chance I filter something, let's say I just clicked on the filter bar here on the top, and I click on the folder, and I say, for example, the equipment number, and I want to, or let's say maybe material group description, let's use that one instead. If I select that, as we learned yesterday, and I click on the drop down, now I can choose any of these, right? So let's say I want to select just, I believe here it says cameras, so I'm only selecting cameras, and this is what I get. If I export my report now, if I click on this button to export the report, and I say PDF, well in this case I'm going to show you as an Excel. Okay, so this file type selection, here at the top we have reports, data, so you can leave everything as is, and just the file type you choose the Excel. Everything else can stay as it is, and all you have to do is just click on OK. You'll see when this report is exported into Excel that whatever you do to the report itself, see now, this is what you're going to get. So right now my report is only showing me, as you see here in the Excel file, what I have filtered here. Let me move that away. So whatever filter I've applied in the Web Intelligence report is what I'm going to get also in the Excel file. So you see again, what you see is what you get, and this is what that means. Now let me close this Excel and go back to my filter, and instead of filtering for cameras, I'm just going to select all values now. So all the values will show up once again. And if I export now I can play around with all the filters. So let's say export once again. I can say Excel and click on OK, and that will now give me the same report as we saw before, but now it'll give me all the data that is here in this file. Everything I have here. I think now the computer's just taking a little longer. There you go. Open. So there's a lot more data to extract from BI. So you'll see the difference now with the report that has been extracted, that now we have all the notifications that are present in the Web Intelligence report. And now you can start playing around with your filters and also your sorting, or whatever it is you do. If you're really good at using Excel, maybe this is your best option. Yes, so remember, I hear a voice there in the background. Any question? I'm also checking for the hands raised. Okay, people asking questions about report 20. If you check the job aids that I was mentioning before, and you see report 27, and you click on the report 27, all these job aids have been, they have added the screenshot for the BI roles that you will need. So just click on the report 27 and you'll see the BI roles that you need. Now again, remember, to see a Web Intelligence report, you just need a basic user role. You don't need an analytical user role. Of course, this one does not work here. So check the job aids. Hopefully you're luckier than I am in terms of seeing them. And I can't get this out of the way here. And let's see. I also believe that it is in the report, right? Report 27, because now I see that the job aid is not working instead of wasting time. Here you go. So I'm sharing this now. You see BI 54, it's the BI CS_SD_basic. So this is the role you would need to access this BI report and also the folder itself. So again, guys, we're sending this to you at the end of each day. So please take a look at it and also review the job aids to get this information. Okay, so we have exported the file. So remember what is important. Whatever filtering, whatever things you do to the report in BI itself and using the BI tool will then affect you when you're exporting the information. Okay, remember that. What you see is what you get, the golden rule as Daniel was mentioning before. Okay, so again, another quick aspect that we can use here that we didn't see yesterday, right? It's the goggles here. You can click on these goggles, and you see at the bottom, you also have a field that loads. In this field, you can add any information that you believe relates to, for example, maybe you want to say motor, right? And you click on the goggles, you see how quickly it highlights the word motor in your report. So it'll find anything related to motor. Now, to keep moving down, you click on Find Next or Find Previous. So it'll keep moving down to every time the report finds the word motor. Okay, so whatever it is you want to find, if you want to use the tool instead of exporting to Excel, remember to use the goggles option. You click on it up here and just write the word at the bottom and click on Search. And that'll take you there. Okay, so just basic options that we didn't get to see yesterday. Again, remember, you can also export the file in PDF instead of in Excel. And again, it works the same way. If what you see is 3 notifications here, in your PDF, you're going to get 3 notifications. If you see 150, you'll get 150. Okay, now another thing. Let's say we want to, this is the report that we like, the prompt is the one we like, the notifications the one we like as well, and we want to save this report. We want to save this report because every time we want to execute it with the values that we've added. Now, I'm not sure, I haven't checked in the prompt here. Some of these prompts have a checkbox at the bottom that we have to select or click on to make sure that the data that we've added remains the same every time we execute this report. In this case, these do not have it. But if you want to save the report, here at the top, you just click on Save As. And what this will allow you to do is save this report and the data that you've added in the prompt in this report in your Favorites folder. Now, before you click on Save automatically, please pay attention to this section. Right now it says here Public Folders. So what you're telling the system is that you want to save your report in the public folder DFS Property Management. But no, what we want to do is click on Favorites folder and save it on your Favorites folder. As you can see in my Favorites folder, I have tons of other tests that I have performed with other students. So maybe we can change the name of this file and call it Brian Test, and save this Web Intelligence report under my favorites. So you click on Save, and it'll appear under your favorites, and I'll show you how to find this as well. Okay, so while that is going on, nothing in the chat. Okay, I hear somebody saying no sound, but everyone else would have said it, so in the meantime, I'm just going to continue. Okay, so now I've saved this file, but where do I find it? Correct? So if you realize you have more than one tab at the top, the ones that reflect the report you're looking at, 2719, and also under Documents, if you go there, back to where we had our reports at the beginning, at the top you have one called My Documents. You click on that, and here is where you can find your inbox for BI, and any emails that may have sent here that you want to send here as well, and also your favorites folder. And under this favorites folder, you should have your report that should be showing up here, the one you have saved. Okay, so anything you have saved or worked on will show up in this folder here. If by any chance it doesn't, you may not have saved it well, or it may be taking longer than usual to find. Okay,
or refresh it.
I can just refresh it as well. Okay, I don't even think I have the option here. Yeah, it's still coming up now. Let's see. It's just taking a little longer than expected. But yeah, the total items here, if you see the bar loading at the bottom, it's still going to add different ones. But here's where it would show up. And now what I wanted to show you is that you'll have to first save the report here. And you see the ones that are Web Intelligence reports, right? You have the type of report here in this column. Focus on the ones that are Web Intelligence. Those are the ones that you can now schedule. But of course, before you schedule them, you'll have to save them. So we've already learned how to save the report by going to this tab. We have learned that we have to go here to the Save As. And now once it's in our favorites is when we can definitely work on the scheduling. So I'm going back to Documents, and here in the scheduling, what I can do is just right-click. I see because I'm having some trouble here loading. What I'm going to do is probably close these other reports. Meantime, if anything, I can go back to those. and see if it works better like that. Still taking a while to load. Okay.
While it's loading, some people are trying to get access to the report. I see Anna, you have an error. I think this is a role issue, pretty much. So you'll have to see with SLA and SLO and the supervisor to make sure that you have the correct provisioning, I think.
Okay, so in the meantime, now it's going a bit slower. But any questions on what I did to save or what I did to export and the whole what you see is what you get? Not on roles or such. Remember how to check the roles in the job aids. And if this doesn't work like that, I may just have to log in a different way. Somehow I just have the magic touch for these reports. Cyrille, they were working fine with you, and it just takes one touch from me and they don't work. Okay, so let's go back and see. Let me execute them again here and see if that works better. If not, Cyrille, I'll just have you use the mouse and maybe the reports will work better with you.
With my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I would think so.
Okay, so you know what? In the meantime, and while this loads, I can use the poll questions again, the ones that I had saved for the end of the session. There may be some that we have not gotten to because they also have to do with the fact that you can schedule the reports. But while this loads, or I try to log in with a different account maybe, I can launch the last poll for you guys to answer. It should only take you 5 minutes. Actually, that's the time limit that you have. For those of you who have told me that when they tried to answer, the time ran out. So remember, you have 5 minutes once I launch it. So I'm going to go looking for the poll first, and then we can work on that in the 5 minutes that we have. Okay, I believe that I have covered at least verbally, orally, everything all the answers to these questions. If not, we can go through them now together. In the meantime, I'm going to try to see if I can work on loading these reports. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions that we're going to be answering now, and I'm going to launch this new poll now. So please accept it and answer the questions to it. These are the ones referring to the web intelligence reports that we're seeing today, and in the meantime, I'm going to see what I can do with this.
What we will have to ask for really good preparedness. Otherwise, we are fine. We are getting away. If you have any problems, let me know. There are lots of things you can be able to definitely, if you want to have anything, that's that we have here. Sometimes why think that
So guys, thank you for answering the poll. I see that at least 42 people are answering these. Oh, thank you very much. In the meantime, what I'm trying to do is log in once again, and hopefully we can get these reports to load and show you how to schedule one of these reports. If by any chance we can't, because we have trouble loading them, I will do that first thing tomorrow in tomorrow's session anyway. So if we don't have a chance to do that today, we'll get to it tomorrow. So you still have 3 minutes to answer these questions. Now let's see. The majority of them should be answerable based on what we've seen. Okay, 48 people have finished. Thank you very much.
and those are actually filters you can open those are actually basic products that you what you need.
Okay, and Anna, I see in the chat, what about variants? We skipped that yesterday. Okay, very good. Well, if I get BI to load once again, I'll definitely show you the variants as well.
But definitely it's not much use of keeping their house.
Okay, so I'll save that for tomorrow because I believe that I'm not able to get to the BI portal right now. So tomorrow we'll see how to schedule these reports. Taught you about the exporting. So remember, you can export them to Excel, but if you have applied any filters or any formulas in the Web Intelligence report, these will affect your Excel report when you extract it. So remember, whatever it is that you see in the BI report, that's what you're going to get in the Excel. So any filters, apply them later once you've exported it. You can also export it in PDF. Then again, you can save a Web Intelligence report. You can also save an analysis workspace report. But today we're only focusing on the Web Intelligence report. You can save it, and then once it's saved, you can manage the scheduling. But somehow now I'm having some trouble loading it, so I can show you this first thing tomorrow, because it seems to be working a lot better at the beginning of the session, or at least it did with Cyrille. We'll see tomorrow, and I'll confirm my theory that it's just my magic touch. And we have here remaining 1 minute. Thank all of you who have finished these questions. I know at least 21 of you have not started. And thank you guys. Ildefonse Wael. Remember, the session is being recorded, so we're going to also send you the link with the recording of this and the answers to these polling questions as well. Okay, so the questions themselves are, can I export a Web Intelligence report? Right, I'm going to share this in the screen now, even though I'll send these also in an email. But the questions are, can I export a Web Intelligence report in an Excel file? Well, of course, we've seen that. Can I schedule a recurrence with a Web Intelligence report, having it sent to my inbox? And yes, okay, and you can do that. You can choose the format also in which you can do that. Then again, can I email a Web Intelligence report to my inbox? You can do that as well, but we will see tomorrow how that is, what consequences that has. And can I have a Web Intelligence report in my favorites folder? Yes, you can. And do filters apply to a Web Intelligence report affect the data visible in the exported report? Yes. So actually all these questions, you were able to answer them without me going any further. So thank you. The polling has been closed now. Thank you guys for joining us in this session. We'll send you the recording later on in an email, and also the answers to the questions. Anything else to add, Cass?
No, not from me.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for participating in the WebEx session. We'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time.
Any good news? Yeah. I was my